What's up and what's happening, TPE fam? We're back with another special episode of the Pivot Experience. It's not often that we get a chance to have in-studio guests today, but we've got none other than, you know what? I didn't even speak on this, and I should have asked this before we got started, but we're going to roll anyway, and he going to let me know whether this is cool or not. I feel like my man made a post maybe a few months ago, and it said something to the effect, and I'm not going to say this, I'm not going to get it right verbatim, but it said something to the effect, if you call me James and you didn't know me at a certain period of time, it's going to be a problem. But I think, do I have a license to say James?
Yeah. You definitely you have a license to say James.
Yeah, I think about it all the time because I guess when I was in middle school, people, a football coach gave me the nickname Navy, so Navy SEAL.
Right.
And so if somebody says Navy,
right,
I knew you had to have known me during middle school, not necessarily during high school. Most people call me Alex now, but if you still say SEAL, that's from high school. So I kind of identify a little bit. I know. I see your wife. She comes through our drive-thrus all the time, and she'll say, out in Montana, you said hello. And I'll be like, Montana. And I didn't remember. That's who we got. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have, well, as far as I know, James Landry. I think presently you go by
Montana Landry.
Yes, so
sir.
welcome to the TPE, man. Thanks for coming by. How you feeling?
Here. I'm happy to be here.
All right, man. So for those of you who don't know, and this may be also learning for me, I want the people to know who you are, what you do, where you come from, what's your story?
Okay. Well, yeah, I'm Montana Landry now. Many of you might know me as James Landry, but you would have had to have known me at least for 20 years in order to know me by that. I'm from here in Beaumont, South Park. I rep South Park and Pear Orchard all day. I love my city. I love Beaumont. I moved away from Beaumont kind of towards the end of my high school years, and then eventually came back, been back ever since. Got aspirations to do more in the community because I really do love it out here. Married with 3 children, 3 girls. I am a girl dad at heart. I love everything about it. I wouldn't have it any other way. I have some extended children that I also consider my 4th and 5th children. I love to take care of my family.
Yeah. Okay. So where did you go? I vaguely remember you moving away when you were a senior. Where did you end up landing at?
So actually it was a few days into our junior year. We ended up moving to Lake Charles. A lot of people know my sister. She ended up going to McNeese. My mom ended up getting a job in Lake Charles, so I just kind of followed with that, and I ended up in Lake Charles. But not too long, I'm gonna say about 3 or 4 years after that, I ended up back in Beaumont.
Okay, cool. How was Lake Charles? I know it's Louisiana, and I don't know if it's like Louisiana, but what is your take on it? Because I know I love me some New Orleans. I don't know it's quite that.
It's not New Orleans.
Quite that. But
I wouldn't say Lake Charles is New Orleans, but it does embrace the Louisiana spirit. It's very much so like Beaumont, in my opinion.
Gotcha.
Growing up, I kind of always knew Beaumont was basically divided by the highway. And if you lived on one side, you were a certain status. If you lived on another side, you were a certain status. Lake Charles is kind of like that, depending on what side of I-10 you stay on and what side of 210 you stay on. And for anybody in Lake Charles, you'll know exactly what I mean. That's what Lake Charles is definitely is.
Okay. All right. So you have an older sister. Do you have any other siblings besides?
Yeah. So I have my older sister. I do have an older brother. He's about 48, 49.
Okay.
And then I have a younger brother. And I also have a sister in Dallas as well. Those are my stepbrother and stepsister, but that's my family.
Yeah. Awesome. So talk to me about family life. So you've got 3 girls and you are a girl dad. Now, you grew up with girls and boys. I grew up only boys. Like, I mean, I have an older brother and a younger brother. And for whatever reason, for the most part, we're only my older brother only has girls. Like he has He has 3 girls and no, actually, I'm sorry. Let me rewind. He has 4 girls.
Don't forget that 4th niece.
No, I have a new niece.
Okay.
She was born a couple months ago. So he has 4 girls and 1 boy. I have 2 girls and 1 boy.
Right.
And so there's a lot of girls here. Like, what are the dynamics now? You know, and I know my older brother, he has his oldest is about the same age as Braden. So 13, 14-year-old range.
Mm-hmm.
How old is your oldest?
My oldest is 11. I'm about to turn 12.
All right. So you starting to get into the murky side of the parenting a little bit.
Big time.
Yeah.
A lot more stress.
And you know, and I guess, and I don't know how this would land, man, but I feel like the challenges that the kids are dealing with now versus, I mean, I know we had challenges too, but as far as like their access to information, what their exposure level, are you starting to feel some of that pressure? Like, you know, you're probably not say the first generation of internet parents, but I remember I didn't get a cell phone really till I was in 11th or 12th grade.
Right.
And they were nothing like they were now. It was called text. I had a Motorola Razr that held 30 text messages. But so talk to me about that. Like, how is parenting in today's time versus before?
You know, to me, I feel like it's all about kind of how you approach it. You have to definitely individually understand your children. You know, my oldest, she got her cell phone when she was about 9, 10 years old because she is extremely mature for her age and she displays characteristics that enabled us to trust her with that. My middle child, I don't believe she'll be getting a phone around that same age because, you know, she adapts to things a little bit differently and she's not growing up as fast as my oldest child. So I kind of embrace it. I just kind of analyze that. And I look at it from the good that it does produce. You know, often we live in fear that because our children have access to so much information or social media or anything, that there's nothing but bad things that'll come from that. But there are good things that can come from that. It'll teach them how to communicate better, how to display their feelings, how to let out some of their feelings, because they'll listen to certain podcasts that maybe we're not aware of, but it could be teaching them the right thing. As long as we teach them the right things in life, they'll know what to gravitate to. So I kind of take it from that standpoint. And when I find myself or my children in a situation where I need to kind of clamp down on it a little bit, then I can analyze it from there.
Yeah, I think I go back and forth with it because James, I'm sorry, Montana.
You good, bro.
I go back and forth with it because I think for me, when we grew up with technology, when you use the computer at the age of your daughters are now, it was 9 times out of 10, not for recreation. It was for education. It was for when you approach the computer now, when you got your phone, you were an adult. So you were looking at this as a tool, not necessarily something for entertainment. And so I think now the fact that our children are growing up with the role has flip-flopped. It's more a vehicle for entertainment versus education. So that's what I get fearful of. It's like the internet is a massive tool, and I think when used properly, it's going to definitely give them great benefits. But it's like, okay, make sure you prioritize the education, prioritize the productivity that can be gained here, and the entertainment should be some form of secondary source. So that I think that's kind of one of my, and I kind of see it. You know, I tell Braden all the time. I say, you know, you have $1,000 computer in your pocket. You know, the iPhone. You know, when you look at the MSRP, those things are $1,000, and I'm like, well, you can't tell me, how do we forget to do this or that? You just tell Siri to remind you to do that at 5 or tell Siri. And so they're looking at it as, okay, this is a supplement to the Fortnite, you know, or I can log into the PlayStation Network and do X, Y, and Z on it, or I'm playing Roblox or I'm doing that. It's not like, and so that's one of the things that I've been really trying to talk to him about is leveraging that as a resource, not just a tool of entertainment. So I'm sorry, I don't want to go on a tangent about that.
No, that's some good advice.
No, I'm serious. And then just talking game, we're talking 2 dads here. It's like, I would be mindful of the apps that look innocent.
Right.
They all have a chat function. They all explore the internet in creative ways. So
Absolutely.
just throwing that out there. But anyway, moving forward, man. So talk to me about you professionally. What do you do as a trade or profession?
So I've been in the furniture industry. I've been at my job for about 10 years now. For about a decade, I've been at home furniture and sales there. But just overall in the furniture industry, I've been at it about 15, 16 years now. Okay. I never really thought that would be something that I would do as a career.
Sure.
But the longer that I've been in it, the knowledge that I've gained from it, I realized that my job actually kind of caters to, one of my passions, which is, kind of interior design or just making sure that houses become a home.
Okay.
Me and my wife, we actually spend a lot of free time working on things around the house or certain upkeep, certain designs, certain looks, and knowing that I can help people out with that kind of makes my job desirable for me.
Okay, so walk me through. So you said a couple of things that I want to touch on. First of all, I didn't know you had an interest in interior design.
Most people don't know that. I keep that to myself.
There's nothing wrong with that. I think sometimes it's good to share that you like stuff that look good. I think from a societal standpoint, you kind of tuck that in the back because you don't want nobody to look at you no type of way because you like the living room to look good or your bedroom to look good, but that's all right. That's okay.
No, I really get into that because it's exactly what you said. I like for it to look a certain way.
Yeah.
Growing up, I can remember my mom, even though we didn't have a lot of money, we didn't have a really nice house. She always made sure everything looked really well. It had that inviting, welcoming, warm feeling. So I constantly try to make that happen at my house, and often we'll have visitors and they'll look around my house and they'll tell my wife, Cassie, this house is so beautiful, this and that. And she's like, my husband designed all of this.
Yeah,
He did this. And that's just kind of one of those things that's, it's not in the forefront, but that is something that I like to do.
It's an interest. It's almost like a hobby almost in a sense. Okay. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I apologize, this is way late. Did you recently build?
So, technically I didn't build. It was a new build that had started and the originals, they backed out. And where my home is located, it actually got flooded during the meltdown.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. And that happened to be around the time where me and my wife, girlfriend then, we had just kind of moved in together and we decided to take the road of purchasing a home together.
Sure.
And we ended up finding a home, which is right around the corner from my job, right down the street from her job. It worked out perfect for us. We was able to finish up the house, and we've actually been in for 3 years now. Yeah.
It's been 3 years.
It's been 3 years. We moved.
We close to 3 years.
Yeah. So my youngest child is about to turn 3 years old, and we moved in about 4 months.
Before
she was born. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The older you get, the faster time goes.
Starts moving very fast.
The older you get, because I wouldn't have thought 3. I guess I don't know what I was thinking, but yeah. Well, very late. Congratulations.
I appreciate that.
I want to say I may have mentioned it before, but if I didn't, it's cleared up and it's on record. Yeah. So it's defined for sure that congratulations. Okay, so you're in. So would you call yourself in sales at the home furniture?
I'm in sales. Yeah, I'm in sales. My title is sales consultant for as long as I've been there now. And with the way that I treat my job, the way I view it, I take on a lot more responsibility. I try to make sure that everyone's having a good day. I'll dip my hands into customer service department. I'll dip my hands into delivery. If the guys need help on the truck, I don't mind rolling up my sleeves, taking stuff off the truck, loading up the truck or anything like that. Although my title is sales, my job treats me like family, so I treat my job like family as well.
We about to go off book a little bit. So let's sit right there, because I think this is something I feel like that's a lost art. Like what you're describing to me sounds like initiative. And initiative, that word, we've heard that word all our lives growing up. Like, take the initiative to go the extra mile, take the initiative to do X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And it's refreshing to hear, because I'm not necessarily saying with the people that I work with, but I've just encountered people like over the course of the years that, if it's not in their title per se, they don't do the work. It's not your job. Yeah. And then here's the deal. I love the angle you took, and I'm sure what I'm about to say you're going to agree with too. But your initial angle is, hey, they treat me good, so I want to make sure that I do all I can in order to make sure everybody else is satisfied and okay. But I think in the larger scheme of things, you might realize that, hey, if I do my job and I have the bandwidth or the capacity to help somebody else, advance, the company grows.
Correct.
And as the company grows,
I grow.
More opportunities, more. And I think that's something that a lot of folks just kind of miss. And like you said it. I'm kind of just recalling what you're saying. This wasn't the career path. So, when we knew each other, when I knew James, he wasn't thinking about working in sales, working at home furniture. If you was to be honest, probably would have scoffed at that, or probably would have turned you like, nah, I'm not doing that. And so now you've realized that, hey, I can take care of a family. You said you got 3 children. You're able to you just moved into first time, one owner home. Yes. You're the initial owner of that home. You're able to live out some of your dreams and passions unconventionally, because this is not necessarily saying what you're doing is out of the scope of a normal job, but it's not what you thought you were going to do possibly. Right. And you're still able to take care of yourself. And I think enough people don't hear that, hey, if you do your best, if you show up and help other people and serve other people, you can have a life worth living. Absolutely. Is that what I'm hearing you say in so many words?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of people have the attitude of, if you're not the boss, you're nothing. And I don't necessarily believe that. I believe you can find that success at any level, but you have to apply all of that. I remember one time me and my wife were talking, and I told her, there's so many men we fight to try not to bring work home because of the stress at work. We try not to bring work home, which means we always want to take care of home. We want home to be our safe haven. I'm blessed with a job to where I can bring home to work, and work can also be my safe haven. I know I can do my job. I can care for and nurture to other people around my job the same way I would at my home. So when I go to work, I'm not stressed. When I go home, I'm not stressed. I'm in a very comfortable environment, and I'm blessed to have that opportunity. And I just recognize it. I believe a lot of people either have or they're in that opportunity, but they don't recognize it.
Right. Yeah. That part. And in them not recognizing it, is contributing to the atmosphere of the place of work and making it feel like it's not. Right. Because they're not plugging into contributing to the atmosphere being like family. And I mean, this is good because I think a lot of times when the perfect situation is you don't have to switch when you between home and work. Some people are like, okay, well, when I'm at work, I'm in work mode, and I get it. There's gonna be some things you might not walk. Might not walk around at home with your shirt tucked in necessarily. Right. But there's some particulars about it. But at the core of you're really not. It sounds like you're not manipulating much. Like not at all. You're kind of. And I've seen you at work. You kind of.
I'm very laid back.
You're you, and so I think that's a blessing to be able to be in a situation like that. And I think to your point, there's a lot of people that could have the same opportunity. Right. They just need to seize it.
Correct.
Now, the idea of sales frightened me because I'm in a situation where I'm not really in sales. We do sales, but it's not contingent on me selling it. I like it. It just. Right. It just does its own thing. There's people that do that. It's not dependent on Alex to engage and build a relationship and steer. I don't have to do none of that. It's just kind of, and so to walk me through, like, maybe give me some of your tips, processes, like how do you go about landing a sale? Like, do you have a formula? It's like, or do you read them? Like, walk me through that.
I wouldn't say I have a formula or a script. I do have a knack of understanding people. I can kind of quickly read the room. I can read the energy that's coming in. And, sometimes it is kind of difficult to break through to people or to get them to open up and talk to you, because essentially that's exactly what sales is. It's building a relationship. When someone walks into my store, I don't have to ask them if they're looking for furniture. I know that they're looking for either furniture or a mattress, because that's what my store offers. So I don't necessarily have to ask that, but I do have to build a relationship. And I think a lot of times in sales, people find a lot of difficulty because they try to build a personal relationship first, but they have to understand, well, they came to this company. They didn't come to me. So if they're standoffish, they're not standoffish to me. It's just the environment that they're in. Maybe they need some space. So I try to give space.
Can I interject?
Yeah.
I apologize. Can you repeat the part about when they're standoffish? They're not standoffish with Montana.
No, they don't know me. They don't know me.
And I think a lot of times people just take people's attitudes personally.
They take it personally, and I can understand that.
Right.
Early on in my career, I took everything personally. If you didn't want to talk to me, it was because of how I looked or the way I spoke to you, or you just don't like me because of the color of my skin or anything like that. But as I've grown, I've realized it's rarely ever that. It's always something else. Most of the time, if people shopping for furniture, it's not for a good reason anyway.
Right.
Their kids broke something. Someone in the family messed something up. They're having to move out of their house into a smaller house or something. There are so many scenarios where, hey, this isn't necessarily a good thing. So I need to do my job, but I also need to provide some comfort and some reassurance that, hey, you're making a good decision. This is something that you're going to keep for a while, and just kind of take it from there.
Okay. I'm sorry. I jumped into the process.
No problem.
Keep going. So we're reading them. We're seeing them. We're not taking offense to their demeanor if it's off-putting, and then from there, what else happens?
Well, you start to build the relationship then. Don't hover over people. I don't like hovering over people or anything like that, but I am attentive enough to know if they need my help, if they need my assistance, I'll be right there to help them. I'm not going to push them in a certain direction because of some type of promotion or anything like that. That's not really me. If someone is interested in something that's the cheapest thing in the store, congratulations. That's good. I'm here to help you. If someone is interested in the most expensive thing in the store, congratulations. I'm good. I'm here to help you. I try to focus my attention to the fact that every single person that comes into that store, I'm going to have to see them again. And I want to treat them like I want to see them again.
Wow.
And I want them to have that feeling from me. So that's really my approach when it comes to product knowledge. I don't think we have enough time. There's so much that goes into the different products that over the years, it just gets kind of stuck in my brain between certain case good pieces or dining or mattresses, bedrooms, living rooms, accessories, anything like that. All of that's stuck in my head. That's there if it's needed. But I've noticed a lot of times what's really needed is just, I need some help making a decision. I have to go to the hardware store. Like, you own your home too. You go to the hardware store.
That's a fact. Yeah.
I never knew how much I would have to go to the hardware store until I purchased my home. And I walk into Lowe's or Home Depot or Ace Hardware. I need help. I have no idea what I'm doing. So when people come into my job, they're doing the exact same thing. They need help. They don't know what they're doing. And sometimes it just takes a while to kind of break those barriers down.
Yeah. No. So I want to kind of ask a mixed question here. Do you feel like all of those things that you experience and learn and have gained from being employed in sales, how has that impacted, or did it have any effect on your relationship with your wife? Like, in terms of, how y'all met, how y'all interact with each other, how you guys like make decisions. Do you feel like the things that you've learned professionally, and then you've already said that your feeling mirrors went from home to work, but does your lens in terms of how you manage the home, or do you see those some parallels there, or?
I do.
Okay.
Especially knowing that every customer could be different. That helps me knowing for sure that all three of my children are different. Or my wife, she might be having a really good day or a really bad day. And based off the energy that I'm seeing, because of my experiences at work, I've learned how to handle that, how to deal with that. If it's a night where, hey, I need to be primary, I need to take control so that way my wife can rest. Fine, I'll do that. That's my job that night. If it's a night where I'm stressed, I need to kick back, but I can see that she has everything under control. That's fine. I can do that. And a lot of what I've learned from work, it definitely comes home speaking easier to the children, making sure that they grasp understanding. A lot of times at work, you have to make sure your customers understand you. Being in a leader position, you have to make sure that your employees understand you. It's a big difference between hearing and understanding.
That's a fact.
So a lot of times when I talk to my kids, I kind of do the same thing that I'll do with customers. I'll break things down and I'll ask them, hey, repeat it back to me so you'll know the process of what's going to happen. So with my children, they'll repeat it back to me so they know what's going to happen. And it does help out a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I know that it's probably, I definitely get in trouble with that hearing and listening or component. I know sometimes I think I'm heard and, what I thought I communicated isn't necessarily what was received. So it's one of those things that, I like that just that confirmation step kind of probably will get me out of a lot of sticky situations for sure. But yeah, no, that's good, man. So you've been with home furniture for close to 10 years. Well, you've been in furniture in general over 15 years.
Correct.
You've got 3 kids. Well, you got 3 kids and some a fourth and fifth that are there too. That you said. I'm just going off what you said. But so how do you manage like burnout? Did you ever have any moments where you just was like, man, I'm done with furniture? Okay, not your family. You can't be done with your kids. But I'm saying like professionally, have you ever had those fed up moments that you just, and how did you manage that? Obviously you had to have gotten through it, but what was the situation? Right. Maybe what was the catalyst, and then what were some things that you did to manage and get through that?
Well, number one is identifying. As men, as fathers, a lot of times we carry stress and we choose to mask it and never actually admit to it and identify it. So number one, if I am stressed, if I am feeling overwhelmed, I got too much going on. Once I identify it, I thank the Lord I have a very understanding wife. I bring it to my wife and she helps me out so much through that because she knows how to, okay, we're going to take this off. Or we're going to take this layer off because you're doing too much right now. But there's other times where I'm holding a lot of weight and I'm doing a lot because I choose to. It's stress that I choose. This is something that I prayed for. And a lot of times there are things that we pray for that comes with obligations. And those obligations get very, very hard if we're not grateful for it. Actively right now, I have a backyard project going on, trying to get this pool together and get my backyard very nice. It's been causing me a lot of stress over the past 2 months. However, I prayed for all of this. I prayed for a home. I prayed to be able to take care of my family. I prayed to have a loving, caring wife that I want to take care of. I prayed for a big family. So now I'm doing things for my family and it is causing stress, but this is stress that I want. It's my destiny to fulfill all of this. So I actually want to do that. And when it gets too much, I'm glad that I have my wife and I'm surrounded with people that I can unload if I need to. I'm very transparent. I have certain family and certain friends that I will unload on if I need to. It's not all the time, but we do have to get those feelings out. There's kind of this feeling in our community that we don't need therapy. and managing that stress, taking that load off our shoulders. That's the therapy that we need. We really need to unload all of that. So I keep that in mind.
Well, you are helping somebody right now, because I think being in the position that we're in now, you mentioned, growing up, you may not have had everything. You don't have everything you have now. Right. To say the least. And I feel like for me, and I talk to my dad about this a lot, it's like, I tell my dad, hey, you ran the race. Your dad, my grandfather, gave you the baton to say, hey, you're a man now. Mm-hmm. I've done all I can. You're in my prayers. I give you to God. You take this this is where he got it. You take it further. Mm-hmm. And I tell my dad all the time, it's my job you got us to this point. Thank you for the education and all the teaching and the mentoring, but it's my job to take it higher. Right. I'm like, real leadership, if, we ought to be, helping the people that's coming after us be better than us, not keep everything par. Absolutely. So now, but the flip side of that is, as we're heading through uncharted spaces, we don't have not say the education, but we haven't been here before. So when it comes down to, all right, yes, you are blessed to have a backyard to manage, and you're blessed to your spouse has this job that's taking care of what needs to be taken care of financially. You're doing your thing. You've got 3 kids, but this model or this iteration of a family that you currently have, you might not have. There's no manual on it. There's no. All right, when I go buy something from you, when I open the box, right, there's a book that's going to tell me exactly, hey, this is how many screws, this is what you should have, this is the phone number you call if something's missing. You don't have that textbook, and particularly when I feel like a lot of our community is coming into not necessarily wealth, but we're making more income than we did maybe maybe a couple of generations before us. Right. And so you're trying to manage the stress of that. And a lot of times we are pulling old habits that I've never seen my dad complain. I've never seen my dad cry. I mean, I might have seen my dad cry one time. Right. And this is no indictment to him. I just literally, when you talk about expressing emotions and expressing how you feel, it's not really, it's almost taboo in certain pockets of our community. And even though I will say this, I do agree with communicating more about, I guess, what you feel. In some instances, and I could be told, I might get killed for saying this, I feel like sometimes maybe that's taken a little too literal. Sometimes, and you might be, you might opposed to that, because I feel like sometimes you are a product of your decisions and what you do, so you still have to deal with the consequence of it. Right. But at least having someone to, I guess, talk through the emotions that come with the consequence I think is very healthy. And I think if we all took a step to be able to at least articulate how we feel about the things that we've decided to get ourselves into, right, I think definitely we'll get better. But I think that when you said identifying when you are stressed or when you're taking on too much, because I think I get caught up in saying yes a lot, particularly when people recognize maybe that you have a skill or that you have a talent or that you are willing to serve, they'll start asking you, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? Will you be a part of this? Will you be a part of that? Can you help me with this? Right. And then it's almost a little flattering a little bit. It kind of strokes your ego a bit, and you go, yeah, I'll be a part of that. And then, I remember one point in time early, like maybe I might call it 8 years ago, man, me and Lindsay was like at a meeting every day because we kept saying yes and yes and yes. We can do that. Yeah, we can do that. We can fight. And then, as your family structure changes, you start to add more people, you start to add more things. That time, that finite 24 hours it seems like it starts to shrink as you start to add more to it. So that identifying that piece is really important. So I think that brings me into my next thought. What do you do from a self-care standpoint? That I don't know if that word is taboo to you or not, or no,
it's not taboo to me. I definitely believe in self-care. I've said it before. I kind of live by it. I'm always aware of my mental, my spiritual, and my physical health. That's how I get my self-care. There are times, am I the best physically fit? No. But there are times where I need to address certain things with my physical health in order to get my mental health back focused. There's things that I need to address with my spiritual health that will help with every other area. So I stay real keen to that, and I practice a lot of discipline in all of those areas. If there's times where I feel like I'm not focused enough or I'm losing focus, if it's something as simple as reading a book, playing chess, listening to certain podcasts or anything like that, I'm feeding my mental health. If there's times where I just feel broken, then I'm definitely paying attention to my spiritual health, and that spiritual discipline will lead me to my church, will lead me to my small group at my church. If I need help, I can reach out. So I focus on that a lot. There's times where I tell my wife, hey, I need a day just for me. Or there's times where I'm feeling disconnected from her and I need a day where it's just me and you together. Or I need some time with the kids. So that self-care, I believe the better you take care of yourself, it'll illuminate in everyone else around you. If you're dark inside, if you're not taking care of yourself inside, you won't see the light that everyone else is trying to provide for you.
Right.
You know, this sounds weird, but when you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. Dark clouds, you can really only see them in a lot of sunlight. You can't see dark clouds at night. So if you're surrounding yourself with the darkness, then everything else it's just going to kind of fade right into it and blend right in there with it. But if you take note to all of the highlights of your life, you're grateful for all of the highlights in your life. That's your sunshine. Occasionally, there's going to be a dark cloud that passes over. And you have a choice. You going to stay there with that cloud, or you going to get back in the sunshine? So I deal with it that way.
Okay, yeah, that's a unique way of putting it. I kind of never really thought about it like that. I mean, it's obvious, right?
It's embracing it.
Yeah.
It's embracing those rough moments. You know that they're going to come. So that's why I say I focus on my mental health, my spiritual health, and my physical health, because I know for a fact that those dark clouds are going to come. Am I going to be prepared for it? I want to be prepared for it. So my self-help, my own health, that's what gets me prepared for it.
Okay. Yeah. Now, that was... If those of you guys out there listening, I know I haven't addressed the audience in a little bit, but I surely hope that you're listening to the things that James is saying. Montana, I keep
you all right.
I want to be able to tell you.
You all right.
Well, from what I hear, and I'm not saying this just to say it, I genuinely mean this. You have and we talked off cam before we got started, and you mentioned maybe somebody maybe whisper to you should use your voice. And I'm gonna tell you should. I'm gonna tell you should. And I'm not quite done. I got one more question before we can totally get out of here. Okay. But I've really enjoyed this conversation. Not to say I didn't know. I had no expectations. Right. I knew who you were. We've been in contact with each other directly and indirectly over the years. That's your beauty of social media. It kind of keeps you tapped in with what people are doing. I knew that you had the fruits of growth, right? You know, all the things around you which suggest that, okay, cool, your life is headed in the direction that you wanted to go in. But us sitting down having this conversation and you unpacking kind of, I guess a small snippet of how you think and how you see things. I think more people need to hear from you more often, because I think you have a story. I think you have a perspective. I think that there's some young men and young women out there that can benefit from hearing it from you. I think sometimes we get apprehensive about doing stuff like this because of our imperfections, because of our history, because of way people perceive us, or what our old audience used to be. I think there's a group of people out there for you that's going to hear hear Montana, and forget about who James is. You ain't gonna never be not James. Right. but you on your paperwork and say James, so you always gonna be.
Yeah.
Hey, not paperwork in a bad way. I'm talking about just but I'm just saying I think you have a future here in this space. I definitely think that I would definitely, if you're willing, I would love to maybe entertain having this conversation again. Maybe not this exact conversation, but maybe in a few months I would love to be able to us maybe unpack some. We've gotten past the formalities, kind of. I think we can maybe delve into some deeper topics and talk deeper on some just broader things, as you mentioned on the front end of this conversation. That when you're talking about your introduction, that you want to get more involved in the community, more involved in what's going on, and so I want to be able to maybe speak around that more so in the why and unpacking the urge to want to get engaged, because I know there's more there.
Right.
Given the gravity of this conversation that we've had so far, I know that there's more there that's I guess that's nudging you towards wanting to get into the communal piece. And so I would love to continue to have conversations and then maybe talk about what does that look like for you, or if you have other things. I mean, I'm not the guy, but I'm involved and I like to hear when other people are involved, and there's organizations that need people with your level of perspective, your level of experience. You are a family of not 5, but family of 7. Well, 5 officially, 7 unofficially, I guess.
5 at home and 2 to 3 more that's constantly there too.
Got it.
And I love it.
Got it. But I'm just, I think that you have a voice, man, and you do. I confirm, whether that matters anything or not, I confirm what the other people are telling you, that you have something. And I think that when you get around to figuring out how to best express that, whether that's in the form of a podcast, whether that's in the form of leading a small group, whatever that looks like, and I don't know, I'm just talking here. Whatever that looks like for you, I think you're going to do a great job at it. I think you're going to be awesome. And so the last thing I want to know, we talked about the parallels between home and work, and we talked about how what you do professionally has impacted your home life. Now, I want to know, what do you think your role as a husband and a father, how has that changed your perspective for work, or has it had any impact on how you go about your work?
I wouldn't say it necessarily changed it, because I was still growing into my career as well. So I had a lot of growing to do even before I got married, or before I started having children. I had growing up to do in my career. I will say it keeps me grateful at work, because I know that what I'm doing at work is taking care of my family, and I'm grateful for that opportunity. But no, I can't say that it's changed me too much at work, even though I do bring home to work because I work in a comfortable environment. I'm not dad at work.
Got it.
And I'm not the husband at work. So sometimes it's almost a relief. I think you can understand me on that standpoint, being a husband and a father. That's something that we take pride in. There's nothing that I love more in this world than being a husband and being a dad. But we do need breaks. And I'm blessed to be in a position where sometimes my job is my break. I can kind of take some of those layers off. I can take that cape off and walk into work and just be Montana, the furniture guy. And I don't have to be dad. But then there's moments where even while I'm at work, I have to be dad.
True.
And I have to be husband, and I have to be paying attention to my phone and paying attention to work, organizing all of that. But I embrace all of that. I love it.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, if anybody's listening to this and they want to maybe, for a future sense, get connected with you, how do they do that?
You can find me on Facebook very easily, Montana Landry. On any other socials, Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, it's Landry Montana. It's that simple. That's me on everything.
Yeah, man. Well, I want to say I appreciate you, number one, for taking time out your day. I know you mentioned that this was your off day. I hate that we jumped in on your off day.
I wanted to do this. This is awesome. It's fine.
Number one, I appreciate your time. And number two, I appreciate your candidness, how transparent you've been about your journey, some of your struggles, the things that you do to help get through those things. Because I know sometimes I look at this. As I've been podcasting, I initially got into this lane because I felt like I had something to say to other people. And what I've quickly realized that this is a form of therapy for me in terms of talking to people, hearing how they see things, hearing how they deal with things, identifying with some of the same struggles, but then hearing how you see the light or how other people see the light has been extremely therapeutic for me. And this interview has been nothing short of the same. I definitely, again, I can't say thank you enough. I'll definitely hope next time we extend this invitation that you're willing to come through and do this and do something with us again, whether it be this or whatever it might be. I'm hoping that you're willing. And then if you ever decide to do something, if there's any way that I can fit into that, I would love to be a part of whatever it is that you want to try to get going. If you want to do something similar to this, I mean, we all have the internet, so we can figure it out. However, I'm more than willing to pass along any information that I have, the little bit that I do have to you to try to help you get into that space to where you're exercising that voice that you have, if that's a desire of yours. Again, we talked about saying yes to everything, but that's all I got. So TPE family, hopefully something was said. No, actually, it's not even hopefully. I know something was said. I know plenty was said that will help you pivot into your next. As you guys know, the whole reason why that this space exists, the whole reason why that I do this and I take time to talk to brilliant people like Montana here is because I want to curate experiences, take stories and put them on a larger platform. Put them on my platform. I'm not saying my platform is larger than yours. It's just a different level of exposure. But putting that message out there so other people can know that, hey, there's people out there doing great things and they fall short too, and how they overcome those moments. I think this was a masterclass in not necessarily falling short, but just a man who has a family, a man who's trying to make it, and a man who is making it professionally and personally. So I appreciate you, my man, for coming through. Appreciate you guys out there for listening. If you are consuming this on YouTube, do not forget to like, subscribe, share this content. I definitely know the conversation that we had today is going to help someone. Tag somebody wherever you're consuming this at. If you're watching a clip of this, tag it up. Let somebody know that the TPE has yet again another great interview. I appreciate you, James. And until next time, TPE family, peace.